Now let's see how we use it, cognitive search with the JFK project. Some context: President John Kennedy was assassinated on November 1963 in Dallas. He was shot by a lone gunman named Lee Harvey Oswald. At least that's the official version. The following investigation produced thousands of documents, and in 1992, the American Congress defined 2017 as the deadline to release the unseen files. The documents have been held in the National Archive, and the majority are already public in PDF format. President Trump delayed some documents release because of national security concerns. So how many documents are we talking about? Just a few releases were about 34,000 documents, and there's much more to come. Manual analysis was the only option at that time, but now we can use cognitive search to help the FBI and the CIA. In the right, you can see the cognitive search features used in this project. From the Vision API, we used OCR and handwritten read. From the external linking API, we use external linking. From Azure Search, we use suggestions, ranking, highlighting, and paging. Now let's see the architecture of the solution. Here's the data flow, a constant process of ingestion, enrichment, and exploration of existing and to be released data. Explorations may identify new documents and enrichments required. We are also using a CIA API named cryptonyms. It returns skills about names, codes, organizations, and so on. The whole process is called cognitive search pattern. It feeds data into the cloud and applies cognitive skills, the action to use cognitive service for data enrichment. Structured data is stored as annotations and creates new search experience for data exploration. More details about the architecture, now using these 1997 CIA visuals from the original documents. Every time a new file is uploaded to blob storage, Azure function triggers the cognitive search pattern. Each document is submitted to the computer vision API for OCR and handwriting analysis. The extracted text is submitted to the Antigen Linking and the CIA APIs. The results are stored in Cosmos DB. Azure Function also starts the Azure Search indexing process for the new data. Azure Search updates the index with multiple rankings, and there is an end-user application to query and navigate through the data. So that's the whole JFK project architecture, and you have access to the code on GitHub. These are the key links for the project to help you learn, demo, and build the solution. Don't worry about the links. You have access to this presentation later in a few minutes. You have access. Don't worry. The first one is the official blog post about the project, a good starting point for this use case. The second link is the official demo. We'll do it together in a few minutes. The third link is the GitHub repo, where you find all the code and instructions to deploy the project. You also can easily adapt the code to another use case using your client's data. Now we use the browser and the data science virtual machine for some demos and to check the code. So I'm going to leave the presentation. We'll come back here later. Here, this is the Cognitive Services portal. As I mentioned before, we have a directory with all of the APIs grouped by category, also pricing and documentation. We are using the Vision category, the Computer Vision API. This API allows you to analyze an image. For any image, you have a description with tags and the confidence of this description. People waiting at the train station. This is the initial example. You can use another photos. people posing for the photo, and also with the age of these people. Also, we have the confidence for each tag, format, size, and so on. Another capability of this API is read text in image. This process is called OCR, Optical Character Recognition. And now we'll use one of the JFK files document we have. This is Lee Harvey Oswald, New Orleans, LA. So as you can see, the API reads the data, the text in the image. The result, the JSON results has the language, every single word, and the position of the word in the image. Next capability, read handwritten from image. Again, I'm going to use one of the JFK files for a demonstration. This is a letter from Lee Harvey Oswald to Pedro Diaz Lanz. So as you can see, again, the API could read the text from the image. Again, we have a JSON result with every single word of the analysis. Last capability, we won't be using this, recognize celebrities and landmarks. Next demo is the AI sandbox. This is an interesting demo to show how the Cognitive Services APIs work together. They have this suggested text here, but I'm going to use my own text. President John Kennedy was assassinated on November 1963 in Dallas. He was shot by a lone gunman named Lee Harvey Oswald, a terrible tragedy. So the first analysis is the sentiment and key phrases API. Of course, we are not using this in our JFK project, but it's interesting to see how it gives you the sentiment and also extract the key phrases of the text. The next analysis is our Antigen Linking Api. Now the key phrases became links. So if you click any one of these links, you have the Wikipedia results of this linking, Antigen linking. Next step is a further enrichment from the Bing entity search. So this URL here, don't worry, you have access to this URL from the presentation. It's an interesting way to demonstrate how the Antigen Linking API works. Next demo comes from the Azure portal, my dashboard. I deployed here my own version of the JFK files solution. And here is my Azure Search index. Azure Search has a search explorer. The search explorer, you can query, as an example, Lee Oswald. And in a few seconds, we will have the metadata I told you about the data we have. We have a score saying about the relevance of this data, of our search, and the location of the information. So that's how Azure Search works. It has metadata about the data, where it is, what's inside. Next demo I will do is the official JFK files demo. And now we see some really interesting user interface. And I will start with Lee Oswald himself. We can see the documents. Some of them I showed you before for the previous demo. And you can double check the document and the handwritten translation. And if you return to the main page, you can see Lee Harvey Oswald connections, who he was talking about, who he is communicating. There is this famous Mexican connection, Durant family, and so on. So this is our first investigation, we can also look for KGB. And from the KGB, you see two KGB agents mentioned in the JFK Files project. If you click for the non-Senko agent and roll over, we have the Antigen Linking API working, giving some key information about this ex-KGB agent. He was a KGB defector and complaining about CIA treatment for him. So this is the user interface. You can use this demo to show cognitive search capabilities for your clients. Also, we did our own investigation and we found a Microsoft product in the JFK files. SQL Server. SQL Server was used by CIA in the solution architecture of the intelligence study. So we have a Microsoft product in this JFK files. Another interesting thing you can do is search for Martin Luther King. What Martin Luther King is doing in the JFK assassination investigation. But if he's check, oops, now it's not showing very well the connections. Hold on. Let me refresh the page. Live demos. The idea here is to show that Mr. King has no connections with Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay. Next browser window I want to show you is the GitHub repo of the project. And you can download this project for your machine to deploy your solution, or you can clone as well. Here you'll see the same architecture explanation we had, limitations of the project, how to set up your own library, your own JFK files library. Some prereqs, of course you need Visual Studio, how to download the files. It's a lot of files. I suggest you to don't download it all. You don't need it all to demo this solution. It's something like 8 gigabytes of zip files with PDFs inside. Some explanations how to create your Azure services. You need to save keys and service names to use later in the code. When in the next phase of the GitHub explanations, you need to, we learn how to update the code with these keys we saved here. And after you add your keys to the solution, JFK files solution, you can run the enriched data loader, data enrichment program with your own JFK files images. It will feed your own Azure search index. And also you can set the automated pipeline, the cognitive search pattern. You don't need to do this if you're not expecting to keep on adding files to the solution. If you just want a small demo, a quick demo, you don't need to implement this part of the solution. You can deploy only the other one. Also, you need to deploy the web application, the user interface. And here we have the explanation how to deploy the code